So we're going to do these one at a time. Each of the x values that I have, I'll plug in to get a y value out. So for the very first one, instead of x, I'm plugging in a -1. So we'll do a little mental math here. Go ahead and answer out loud. If I've plugged in a -1 here, what is 2 times -1? Gives me -2. And then I have this -1 here. So now I have to do -2 minus 1. Should give me -3. So I plugged in the -1. I calculated everything. I got a -3 at the end. So I'm going to put that here next to the -1. And this is the very first point that I'm going to graph on my grid in a moment. -1, -3. I'll do the same thing for each other number. I'll plug in 0. So 2 times 0 minus 1. What's 2 times 0? 0. So I have 0 minus 1, which is -1. So I'll write that answer next to 0. And we'll do this for each of these. So 2 times 1 is 2. Minus 1 makes 1. And then the last one here, 2 times 2 is 4. And if we subtract 1, we get 3. So all I did was I took each of the numbers that we chose, and you choose these numbers. You do not have to use these exact same numbers every time. You pick the numbers for x, you plug each one of them in, and write the answers next to it. Once you have all these numbers, you're ready to graph. So what I would like you all to do at this point, if you're not done writing this down, I'll come back to it. You can write it down in a moment. But for right now, grab your graph paper, and in the top left corner of your graph paper, we're going to rewrite this table. So in the top left corner of the paper, I went ahead and wrote down the table that we found. These are the points that we will be graphing. So here's what I'd like you to do. To set up your graph, we don't want to waste space because we're going to have a number of graphs we have to do here. So look at the numbers that are in your table. What's the largest number that we have here? A 3. Which means we do not need to go any more than 3 in each direction. Now, some people like to just go a little bit extra for extra room. That's fine. That's up to you. But you don't need to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and make right next to this an x and y axis that goes 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I want a little bit more. Make it go at least 3 in each direction. So on your graph paper, you should have both these things right now. You have an XY table for the numbers we'll be graphing. You have an X and Y axis. I'm going to go ahead and label the axes, X-axis, Y-axis. So now for graphing the points. This is the part that people tend to actually make the most mistakes with, because people tend to mix things up or start from the wrong spot often. Every time you graph a point, you start at the origin. So from the very, very center, you're going to count each of these numbers. And we do them in order, x before y, just like the alphabet. So for x, -1 would mean I go left 1. And then for y, -3 means I go down 3. So I will go left 1 and down 1, 2, 3 and make a point. Go ahead and make that point on your graph paper right now. So again, I'm going piece by piece here. -1, -3, so left 1, down 3. The next one, again, starting from the origin, starting from the center. 0, -1. I go left or right 0, I don't go anywhere, and then I go down 1. Next one, +1, +1. Positive 1 is to the right, so I go right 1. Positive 1 for the y-axis is up, so I go right 1, up 1. And the very last one, they're both positive 2 and 3, so I go right 2 and up 1, 2, 3. After you've put all the points on the grid, you've plotted all your points, you go ahead and connect them. And that's our entire graph.